Once again, President Biden is dealing with a problem by taking careful aim and blowing off his own foot. In his draconian push to enforce a vaccine mandate that he promised never to impose, his threats and bullying are about to make the nationwide shortage of healthcare workers and first responders far worse, and especially in blue states where the governors are taking equally authoritarian stances. A study by Harvard and Rutgers universities taken in June found that as many as 27% of healthcare workers were then unvaccinated. 15% said they would not get the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, it's not clear why. I'm sure many have already had COVID and they think the government should recognize the efficacy of natural immunity. Maybe others are concerned about adverse reactions that they've seen. In New York, the Thomas More Society has filed a lawsuit on their behalf. But whatever the reasons, with the deadline for getting vaccinated or else looming, hospitals are bracing for a mass exodus of workers at the worst possible time. In New York, the governor may have to order National Guard troops to help in hospitals, which is hardly their field of expertise. This is what many of us were worried about when we were told that Joe Biden would be a thoughtful, moderate problem solver. We knew his long history of being partisan, bullheaded, and on the wrong side of every major issue for 4 decades, and his unerring instinct for making rash decisions that make things worse. Now, instead of listening to other people's concerns and trying to persuade them, or maybe find solutions to accommodate their objections, he's warning us that his patience is wearing thin. He's threatening to crush people's rights and freedoms, fire them, and take away all the benefits that they've worked a lifetime to earn. And just generally acting like a cross between a mad dictator and an old man yelling at kids to get off his lawn. His latest over-the-top statement is that the country can't get back to normal until 98% of Americans are vaccinated, which is so far beyond any estimates of what herd immunity requires as to make it ludicrous. This is not persuading anyone. It's just angering and dividing Americans further. And it's certainly not advancing the interest of public health. It's making opponents of vaccination dig their heels in deeper and sparking a whole new crisis of understaffing in our hospitals. It's also not helping Biden's poll numbers. A new Ipsos poll finds that for the first time, public distrust in Biden to provide accurate COVID information outweighs public trust by 53 to 45%. And a new Fox News poll found that only 49% of Americans now believe that Biden is mentally fit enough to serve as president, while the percentage who believe he's unfit has risen since July from 39% to 48%. But even though Biden was handed the keys to an economy revved up and ready to break records, he immediately, blindly threw it in reverse and is blaming Trump for all the dead pets on the road. But I do get the sense that Democrats know their hopes of using a razor-thin majority to impose massive transformational legislation are starting to slip away. Democrats from moderate districts are starting to rebel, and they're not worried about Biden criticizing them with his polling being underwater right now. You can tell they see the writing on the wall since Speaker Pelosi finally slapped down her loudmouth far-left wing and announced that the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill would be voted on before the $3.5 trillion spending orgy bill that they were trying to force through by holding the smaller one hostage. Now, you want to know how out of touch Biden, Pelosi, and their ilk are from the general public? They seem to believe that spending $3.5 trillion truly has zero cost. Their reason? Because they'll pay it back. They'll raise taxes to pay for it, so it won't cost a thing. The sheer level of stupidity or cynicism it takes to say such a thing is brain-frying. You know that house you've spent the last few decades paying off, including all that interest you paid on it? Well, according to Joe Biden, it didn't really cost you a dime because you paid it off. Does that make sense to you? No, I didn't think so. Biden talks just like someone who hasn't had to work a day in his life to become a multimillionaire. A study by the Texas Public Policy Foundation looks at the combined cost of the $3.5 trillion Build Back Better bill and the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Simple math tells us it should be $4.5 trillion, but since its sponsors can't do simple math, or perhaps won't, maybe that's more accurate, it's no surprise that the cost is much, much more. Over 10 years, the cost of both bills combined would be $6.2 trillion. That's right, trillion. That'd come along with the $1.7 trillion in new taxes, $4.5 trillion added to the national debt, and a $1.2 trillion reduction in America's GDP. Some people could see increases in their tax rates of up to 13%. Would you like to pay 13% more taxes? Didn't think so. And the increase in the corporate tax rate would give us the third highest among leading nations, higher than even communist China's, resulting in some trickle-down effects, such as lost jobs and higher prices for you and your family. And the study estimates that all this could result in a drop of up to $12,000 in median family income. If you're ready to chunk over another $12,000 of your income, you're going to love this bill, and you'll love the Democrats who did it to you. But once again, you're not going to see the mainstream media revealing these terrifying truths to the general public. All the spending means more reliance on government. And at this point, the media, they want that just as much as the Democrats. So a really good way to fight back against them is to share videos like this one that are spreading the truth. Also, clicking the like button and commenting, that helps us get viewed by more people. And you can say anything. Just commenting applesauce for Biden, even that would do the trick. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell. I hope you'll tune in for the live stream this Friday at 1 p.m. Central, and you can get all the latest news beamed straight to your inbox twice every single day. And all you got to do is sign up for my completely free newsletter. You do that by going to MikeHuckabee.com. That's going to do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.